What do you say, everybody, and welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. It's time to talk with our friend Jesse Rogers from ESPN. Hey, like, subscribe, thumbs up. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. You guys can help us get there, and you have. But if you're not a subscriber, make sure you're part of our channel. We got a lot of really cool stuff going on. So let's get this show started. And all right, there. Both of our opens meant to play yours, but mine hit. So we got them both. Good to see you in Sloan Park, Mesa, Arizona, covering Cubs camp and the World Baseball Classic. There he is, Jesse Rogers. Good to see you, man. Let's talk Shota Imanaga right out of the chute. Sure. I feel like Shota, even though it wasn't perfect as far as the stat line, I feel like he's going to be the Cubs opening day starter. I like where he's at right now with his velocity.
Not sure if he's getting the opening day nod. I mean, that's something Craig's probably going to reveal very shortly. I mean, I think Cade Horton's, to be honest, in the mix. He's pitching today, as a matter of fact, as we speak on Tuesday. It's a tough call because Matthew Boyd probably deserved it, but we'll see what his schedule's like coming back from the WBC. But who pitches opening day is less important as it is to who's effective, right, on opening day and beyond. And Shota's trying to bounce back from the end of last season. I think he's going to be okay. Like, he came out of the gate as a number one. He ended the season as a number 5. The answer is he's probably in the middle somewhere. He's going to give up some home runs, as we know. It's limiting the stuff in between. Obviously, the multi-home run is what would kill him. Right. Even a 2-home run game, if they're solo shots, isn't the worst thing in the world. And remember, 6 innings, 3 runs is a quality start, and if it's 3 solo, it's 3 solo. Just can't do it with guys on base, and obviously you can't give up 3 a game, very often. So I think he's going to be okay. Those summer months are going to be difficult if the wind's blowing out, but in between, he's pitching on the road, wind blowing in. Those are the moments Shota should be better at. His velocity is okay. He needs to try to be as deceptive as he can. He was early in his career with the Cubs. The injury sort of got him off his mechanics last year, but just don't think of him as the guy that was pitching that first year where nobody knew him and he was shutting everybody down. He's somewhere in between the bad Shota and the good Shota, and I think we'll see that. I don't know about opening day, though.
Well, I mean, you look at, and I like what you're saying about Cade Horton, because I think that would be a great thing for the Cubs. He was their best pitcher second half of the year, but they never really let him pitch that much. I mean, it was always like 6 innings, 5 innings. Like I felt like they had the governor on him, and he got hurt anyway, right? But he's definitely in the mix. We saw Matthew Boyd pitch in the World Baseball Classic. He was okay. Gave up some runs, but I don't know. Is he the guy? Jamison Tyone hasn't had a great spring, but I thought he pitched really, really well for Team Canada. I just feel like and then Edward Cabrera, I mean, he's looked really good, but I feel like we got a bunch of like number 3 guys. Maybe Cade Horton be number 1, but he's got to pitch more than 5 innings.
Yeah, Cade's ascending to number 1, but he's not quite there yet. But Mick, don't sell him short. I mean, I view them having the governor on him, the handcuffs on him, and what he did as a huge positive. In other words, he was so efficient.
Yeah, I love him.
With limited innings and limited pitches. The strike throwing was absolutely incredible. And the outs he made in the strike zone, he didn't need guys to chase. That's how good his stuff was. So look, if he's not the opening day starter now, he will be very shortly, and he's probably their number 1. But I don't disagree. It's a team full of 2s and 3s, and even 4s, I guess, more than a true number 1. But Cade might be that guy in short order.
Yeah, look, I think he's the best. I said this before he even pitched in the big leagues, that he's the best pitching prospect that the Cubs have had since Pryor and Wood, and he's lived up to that. But his Achilles has been the injury issues, right? And it cost him last year. It cost him in college. It cost him in the minor leagues. And you just hope that he's able to stay healthy. If Justin Steele's healthy, I think he's the ace of your staff. I mean, he's potentially a number one. He was a contender for the Cy Young. But if for the Cubs to have the success that we want them to have this year, somebody's got to be, as Jody Davis said on his show, Beer Money last Sunday, the win guy, right? He said when the win guy for him was Rick Sutcliffe. Like every time he goes out, he's going to win. Fergie Jenkins was that for the Cubs. The Cubs had two guys like that, Pryor and Wood, with Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood in 2004. And then when they won the World Series, it was Arrieta and Lester. You had two win guys. Cubs need to have at least one win guy on the staff.
Well, I think it is Cade. I think he proved that last year. And now with the handcuffs off, sky's the limit. So I think the win guy is Cade. Can Matthew Boyd repeat? If he can repeat the year, then he's a win guy too.
Right.
Because he had a great year in 25. So they have enough talent. They're not short on talent. It just isn't necessarily eye-popping Cy Young talent outside of Cade if he reaches his potential. Cabrera unlock could be really good as well. I mean, there's a lot of talent there. It just all has to sort of come together.
How do you think the Cubs pitching staff matches up with the teams in the division?
Well,
I saw where Hunter Green, who I love, is going to be out for half of the year now, and he's another one of these guys who has, to me, Nolan Ryan type stuff, but he just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds have some depth, but as Craig Counsell said so smartly, it's one thing to have depth, but there's no way to replace the production Hunter Green gives you. He's their win guy. You might have enough arms to get by, but that doesn't mean you're going to be getting 7 innings and no runs out of Brandon Williamson or whoever the guy that takes the place in the rotation. So huge hit there. I think Milwaukee has stockpiled arms. That's going to be interesting. It's got going to be a lot of big names outside of Woodruff and Mizorowski. I think he's even not necessarily going to be a 7 or 8 inning guy. I think they're going to do some interesting things in Milwaukee with their pitching, piggybacking guys, 4 to 5 innings. They're so smart up there. Like I would never doubt the Brewers, but the Cubs staff is as good as anybody around. It's good. I mean, I think the bullpen has to come together. It's such a new group for them. Hunter Harvey, Hobie Milner. You want to see Palencia take the next step. So I think the rotation, you kind of can understand everybody in there. I think bullpen wise, there's potential, but it sort of has to come together. And usually you don't know if it will until April.
Yeah, right. I heard where Craig Counsell said, Jed Hoyer said the thing that keeps him up at night is pitching depth, right? And he felt like last year the Cubs got away with not having a lot of injuries. Well, I look at this staff and I'm like, man, if you get, you got 5 guys right now. We mentioned 5 of them, and then you got Colin Ray and Javier Assad, and Assad looked great pitching for Mexico a couple days ago. And then you got, whoever else in the minor leagues, and then you got Justin Steele. I mean, I would figure like they're pretty deep to me right now, but you got a bunch of guys with injury history. You
do, and look. A Hunter Green situation can pop up at any time for the Cubs or any other team. So you have depth until you don't. But this, if you want to just pull back a little bit from 30,000 feet, this is the most depth I've seen on a Cubs team since their glory years last decade.
Yeah.
They've been building this to a point where they've brought in enough depth, adding Cabrera to the mix, Steele coming back, as you mentioned, on the mound. And then even position player wise, Jefferson, Rojas, James Triantos ready to contribute if someone gets hurt. Not trading Shaw or Horner even after signing Bregman. That's even more depth. Gold Glove caliber guy on the bench if Shaw's not starting. So it's as deep a team as you're going to get. I'm still figuring out that bullpen, as I mentioned before. We'll see how deep that is. And that's what July is about. To me, the trade deadline is about bullpen depth. We starters don't really move. We saw that last summer. We see that most summers, but that's where you add even more. Aroldis Chapman back in the day. I didn't think the Cubs did a great job last July, but to me, it's very telling the depth they brought in. And then the next thing that will be telling is what they do in July, meaning how much are you going for it? Right now, it looks like they're going for it. The next barometer will be the July trade deadline.
Yeah, I want to talk about Dansby Swanson, but you kind of led me into something else I was going to ask you. Last year at this time, I felt like the front office really had to have a winning year or they were going to be out. I just felt like it was kind of do or die for them. There was a sense of urgency. They went out and they made the trade to get Tucker. They gave up a really good player, and we don't know how good Smith is, but we know that he played as a guy that would have been in Double-A for the Cubs every day in the big leagues for the Astros. And then they go out this year with, which I feel like after they got the extension, it wasn't the type of extension to me, and I want your opinion, but where I feel like, hey, you're good for the next 10 years, but you got a couple more years to see what you can do. And then they go and they trade Owen Casey for Edward Cabrera. And I don't know, man. This is one of those trades. I saw Casey smack a home run for Team Canada, and I've seen the guy play a lot, and I'm like, man, this is one of those deals where you could really pay a big price if this kid turns out to be as good as I think he potentially could be. Do you think that this front office is safe for a while, or do they have to have a winning year?
Well, I think last year helped, and they just got contracts, so I think they're safe for now. And then we have this labor problem coming up. They're not going to make big changes after this season. So of course, I think they're safe. I think they have been building towards something since 21, since they tore apart their last team. And each year has shown a little bit more urgency. Signing Tucker. Now it'd be great if they could have kept Tucker and signed Bregman, but instead they signed Bregman and trade for Cabrera.
Right.
I mean, Casey could be a star and Cabrera could be a star, so it could work out both ways. I do believe that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I do believe that the fact that they traded Casey and not Moises Ballesteros and not one of the other young guys is a little bit telling. You self-scout your guys, other teams scout your guys, and you can end up with different opinions.
Right.
I don't think they think Casey was a sure thing necessarily and was worth the trade. Doesn't mean they think he's bad, but they felt like it was worth the trade.
Right.
I like Casey because he's big and strong. I like big and strong guys.
Yeah,
so one thing, the Cubs don't have a lot of big and strong guys, and that can be a little bit limiting, but that might be for another show. I think we don't talk about that enough in baseball. Even on the mound, you need big, strong guys.
Right.
Even though you think about it in basketball, maybe football, but baseball, you need it as well. So no, I think they've been building to something. And look, they don't win the division this year. I don't know how they're going to win it, because they're not going to win it via payroll alone. They're not going to, they already outspend Milwaukee, but they're not going to spend like the Mets or Yankees or Dodgers. So they've got, if not this year, then when can they beat the Brewers out? So
yeah, got to be their year.
This got to be their year. And if they're in first place in July or not, I expect a big trade then, because you got to go for it.
Yeah. Well, look, Owen Casey's got a weakness from right-handers, middle end, soft stuff, breaking balls. I'm sure that's probably it. He strikes out a lot, but man, he's a good one. And you hope that Edward Cabrera, like you said, if he turns out to be good too, everybody's happy, turns into a great trade. You were talking about big, strong guys. I don't know that I would put Dansby Swanson in that mix. It's like the last few years, I feel like he's tried to hit way too many home runs, and maybe he should just make more contact. I think he would help the team if he was just more reliable and putting the ball in play. I saw him do that in the minor leagues, and then somewhere along the way, it was like he's kind of like a 20 home run guy. It was like, but you see him bat, and it's like he tries to hit like he's going to be a 40 home run guy. Do you think he's going to shorten that swing down this year?
It's not necessarily shorten the swing, but I think he's working on some things to make more contact. It's kind of difficult to explain, but he's just trying to be a little bit more athletic in the batter's box, and maybe go where the pitch is a little bit more. He's already gone to right field. He hit an opposite field home run, which was very telling to me. When's the last time you remember him hitting an oppo home run?
But when I saw him coming up, he used to go the other way a lot, and it made him a really tough out.
Yeah, a couple things. All right, first of all, it is tougher to go the other way in Wrigley Field. It gets in your head. Right center is dead at Wrigley compared to left center. Mm-hmm. So maybe over time he has been pulling the ball more. Also, going back to the minor leagues and then Atlanta and everything, like as you're becoming a free agent, what's going to get you paid? Right. Well, especially at shortstop. If you're a home run hitting defensive whiz at shortstop, you're going to get paid. And he got paid. And there's nothing wrong with 25 home runs out of my shortstop, but you're not wrong, and he knows it. He wants to do a little bit more offensively. We'll see if he continues to go to right field when they get back to Wrigley. But just in general, I think he wants to be a little bit more athletic. I think if you watch him, it is kind of a rigidness in the box. It's that, like you said, trying to pull the outside pitch, and missing it a lot. So let's see how this all shapes up in April. It's working now. Warm weather, the ballparks are, play real. Let's see what it looks like in April. But he's trying. He is absolutely trying, and he's having success, and that'll boost his confidence for these changes to continue into the regular season.
Yeah, well, it's going to make the team better if he's not buried in the bottom of the lineup. Like I think the Cubs are a much better team when he's one of the contributors at the plate.
I think it's yes, but you could say that about a bunch of guys. This is here if you want to just talk about the whole offense. I think it's similar to last year. It's a very lengthy offense on its best days. Like 1 through 9, it's pretty darn good, especially if Shaw takes a step and he's batting ninth in some days, and what Ballesteros takes a step and is in there. So like the 2-hitter could be the 7-hitter, and the 7-hitter could be the 2-hitter on its best days. At the same time, most teams 2-hitters or 7-hitters aren't interchangeable.
Right.
You know who your top 4 are because they're so good, and that's it. It's like, so there's some good and bad, and I think there will be days it gets shut down. But as we saw last year, there were more good days than bad days. I feel like it's going to be similar to last year, maybe a little bit better because PCA's a year older, Shaw's a year older, Ballesteros a year older. A healthy Bregman's going to help. And it's not like I don't think Happ or Swanson are over the hill. Like no one got too old, and a bunch of them are in free agent years, so they're going to try to put up some big numbers. So I still think there'll be some days where we're like, oh man, there's not enough power in there, that kind of stuff. But other days it's going to look very lengthy.
When you look at the batting lineup that they could potentially have this year, what are you looking at?
Batting order, basically. You're talking about? Yeah. I think he likes Bush up there against right-handers to lead off. I mean, the way he ambushed guys. But as I said, it is an interchangeable lineup that I wouldn't be surprised if Counsell changed things after a period of time if he felt it wasn't working. But anyway, I think Bush is still going to lead off. I think Hoerner is clearly going to be 2 against righties and maybe one against lefties. I think he likes Hoerner in that 2 spot. Bregman, Suzuki. Then after 4, you could do some interchanging, but I think you go from righty Suzuki to lefty Happ, when there's a righty on the mound, and then you get to Swanson, Ballesteros, your catcher, Shaw, if he's in there. That's kind of the bottom of your order. But I think you're looking at Bush, Hoerner, Bregman, Suzuki as your top 4, especially against right-handers. And then of course PCA. The key is if Bush is at the top, PCA can't be any sooner than 5 or 6 even.
Right.
You have to separate the lefties. You can't have them in the same inning when a lefty reliever comes in, because all of a sudden that's an easy inning, or you have to pinch hit for one or both of them. So if Bush is leading off, PCA can't be in your top 4. He's got to be 5, 6, or 7. And I think they'll keep the pressure off him and have him down at 6 or 7. But it's pretty interchangeable, especially from 5 to 9, to be honest.
Yeah. With the roster battles, I mean, we don't have a lot right now unless somebody gets hurt, but the reserve outfield spot, where do you kind of handicap that right now?
I mean, I think Dylan Carlson has a leg up. There's some opt-outs with those guys, so you don't want to necessarily lose the depth. So you put them on there, and hopefully, they're successful. But I think he'd probably be at the top of my list. Kevin Alcantara is a talented guy that's hitting the ball hard, and I'd probably include him as well in the mix in terms of who leads in terms of depth. Alcantara and Dylan Carlson right now.
Interesting. What about Conforto?
We got here a little bit late. He's behind. I'm not sure. It's still a battle. We're in early March still. There's 2.5 weeks to go. Like I said, there's some opt-outs there. But Carlson's probably looked the best of that group. Conforto probably has the most success going back to, his history,
Right.
but none of them have recent success. So I think it could be determined, who looks the best here. And so far that's been Carlson.
What's the mood in camp with, so many of the players with their World Baseball Classic teams?
Yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different. I spent time at Mariners camp and I wrote a story about it. They're missing 10 guys off their 40 man. That's a lot.
Mhm.
And 8 others that are not on their 40 man. And the Cubs are missing Boyd and PCA and Bregman. It's a different vibe. It's quieter. It's just a little less energy. And the camaraderie is not growing on some of these teams the way it normally would. It's a different feel. I think this tournament is going to move to the All-Star break someday. I really do, Mick. The WBC. I think they're gonna get it out of spring training, and arms will be fully ready to go for a mid-season tournament type thing instead of trying to finagle it in March here. That's down the line. They have to get through this next CBA. But the camps are kind of quiet and just weirdly incomplete without these players. I mean, these are all star players that have gone to the WBC. So I'm not sure managers love it because they're not. It's really the team bonding that they miss more than the drills or anything. And that was one thing that stuck out at Mariners camp. This is when you build, the camaraderie in the locker room. You can't do that with your stars gone.
Yeah, I thought Joe Madden was the best at building camaraderie in the clubhouse. I mean, you remember 2014, then 2015, and then 2016, and then it's like
it's incredible. Yeah,
it was awesome. I mean, every day we'd show up and it'd be like some other crazy thing going on at camp.
Yeah, embrace the target and all that stuff. He had a lot of fun. Don't let the pressure exceed the pleasure.
Yeah.
He had a lot of good sayings, a lot of fun. He creates a great vibe. Helps to have talent. They didn't have to grind, because they knew they were a talented team. But I think of Joe without his players, all going to the WBC. He'd have difficulty, building that team bond. So, they'll get it back with a week to go. But it's just it does feel like a different spring when the WBC is playing.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. All right. As we wrap up, I want you to tell me the not your card, but what was the most memorable card that you ever held? And I was talking about this earlier today. I held the Evers and Tinker and Chance cards, the old tobacco cards, right? Like the real ones.
Yeah.
I think 2 were from. They were right around the same time. They weren't all from the same year, but they were close, and I'm like, man, these are the Cubs that won the World Series like 1907 and 08. And then they look like the Honus Wagner cards that are worth $1 million. These were worth, hundreds, but it was still cool to actually hold those in my hand.
Yeah. I think, you're off the top of my head. I do remember my dad had a, who hit the home run in this is not the Cubs, this is New York. Oh my God, I'm blanking now.
In a World Series, like Bill Mazeroski?
No, God, no.
For the Yankees.
For the Yankees.
Roger Maris?
No.
Not Mickey Mantle, though.
No. Was it Mazeroski? No. I'm thinking. So it was one of those cards, 1950s type of rookie card. My dad had. My dad actually, I should show you this sometime on the show. My dad and my grandfather were ushers at the old Polo Grounds, and my grandfather kept really meticulous documentation. His ledgers, like 3 or 4 ledgers. Every game he was an usher at, he had the opponent, the score of the game, the weather, the attendance, how much he made, and of course it's like $1 a day or something.
Yeah.
And just he has reams of pages of this. And I think that's worth something. But I'm trying to remember the card.
That's super cool, man. You're talking about the Maggio days and stuff that, right?
I showed Joe Madden this, and actually the Hall of Fame, I showed it to a guy there once, and he's like, yeah, when if you want to send it to us, we'll take it. But Madden loved it. I'll show it to you. I'll bring it next time.
Love to see that.
And I'll try to remember the card that my dad had.
Think about it.
Yeah, it was like a 1950s, and I'm blanking on the player. But for my own, it was probably just like a Ryan Sandberg rookie card. I don't know what it was worth. I think it was signed that I had at one time. Nothing too special, but that's a pretty good one now if you think about it. But my dad had a few old ones that I really liked, and I'll jog my memory and mention it next week.
We're brought to you by the Rat Pack Cards, Whatnot, on the Whatnot app, Whatnot online, and you can go on there. They do card auctions constantly. And unlike when we were collecting cards, some of these cards come out of the packs and they're worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, right? Like minimum, limited edition cards and, autograph cards and jersey and bat cards that have a piece of that in there. So pretty cool. Jesse, great to talk to you. We'll do it again next week. You guys got a question for Jesse. Make sure that you put it in the comments section. We'll ask him next week. I love it when you guys ask questions. And I know that you guys did, and I'll get to those again next week. So if they're in there, I'll find them. And I want to thank you guys again. Don't forget about Beer Money with Jody Davis. That's every Sunday. So check that out on the channel as well. Go Cubs. Thanks, Jess.